us, when we walk out the door, we'll be facing it again. And it's bombarding us on every level, on every topic that we can think of. And that chaos is going to be very wearing, very tiring, very confusing. So I'm going to give you some tips on handling crazy times. We put it under the category of shielding. This is a term that is commonly used in the Wiccan pagan magical community, and what it basically means is holding your own space. When you get up in the morning and you get ready to face the world, you all instinctively, and appropriately, thank you very much, establish the first level of shielding. When you put your clothing on, you do not confront the world bare naked. That would blow our minds at levels that we don't even want to think about. We get into some form of vehicle, car, van, bus, whatever, and that vehicle has been given some sort of protection from salt and the corrosive effects of salt put on the roads all winter. It protects the metal of the vehicle. We can do without it, but I think most of us know what would happen to the vehicles. And it's not that the salt is not a desperately needed addition to our roads. With that salt protecting us from slip sliding right off the road. These are forms of shielding. They are purely physical. Everybody acknowledges the need for them. What I'm going to talk to you about is the next level of shielding. Protecting yourself. That's with the capital S, yourself. Okay? We each have an aura, a field of energy that we live within. It has different layers. The tight layer that's against our skin is measured by science because we are electromagnetic. Our nervous system works with electricity. And there's a field generated. It's really, really tiny. It's really thin. But it's all over us. And I'm not sure that as long as you're alive that you would be able to live without having that field be there. But we acknowledge that there's another layer that's much bigger. It forms something close to being an egg around us, and it's our field of personal energy. You know how when somebody comes dashing up to you, and they go to hug you, they are entering your field of energy, your aura. Hopefully, you don't mind. Or if you do, you're able to take a step back. Whoa, hang on there, buddy. That aura is part of you. It's part of how you express yourself, and it's part of how you interact with the world. But it's out there in public the way our clothing is. We put our clothing between us and people approaching us. We don't meet people that want to hug us skin on skin without making a very deliberate commitment to that kind of interaction. So we're going to talk about making that aura a little bit more stable and a little bit more impervious to things that we don't want to experiment with. So if you think of yourself as being inside of an egg, and that egg is your energy pattern, your personality, your daily what to and what for. There's another energy way out there someplace. Some people call it the really big something out there, which pretty well describes it. And then other people try to fit a name to it. God, Allah, Buddha, Ma Nature. There's all kinds of names that we give to it. But it's really big, and it's out there, someplace. We visualize it as being above us, because it's above and beyond kind of concept, kind of using a pun to say it's more than us. Could be the sun, could be the sun behind the sun. Whatever you see it as, makes no difference. We're just going to call it something like the source of light and life. That would work. Nice and abstract. So it's glowing out there, just the way the sun glows and feeds everything on the surface of this planet. Doesn't care who it's shining on. Every plant that's not in somebody else's shadow gets that sun. Every animal walking around in the fields and the woods next to us in our living space, they all draw sustenance from that sunlight. The sun is not diminished when they do that. It's a natural source of energy. Everybody has a right to draw on that energy. Every one of you can draw on that energy. That source of light and life. You have to get both of them there, not light and light. But that gives a source of spiritual energy, the same way the sun gives us a physical energy. So we're going to draw on that ultimate source, whatever it is. Each one of you is probably going to think of it as something else. I don't care. They all work, as long as it's something more than human. We're going to draw that energy in, and we're going to fill that aura so that we are completely stuffed, crammed, full of that universal energy. And after we do that just a little bit, we're going to do it with breath, then we're going to make the outer boundary of that aura solidify and harden. And you're going to choose, if you're smart, I know you're all smart because you're here, we're going to choose to make that edge of your aura so strong that there isn't anything that can get through it. Unless you invite it in. If you watch the Marvel movies, we're talking about adamantine. Okay, nothing can get through that stuff. All right? But, well, except for vibranium.
There's always something.
The other quality that it has is that it is transparent. You can look out at the world and see, hear, taste, touch, smell, fifth sense, cognition, whatever. You can sense what's going on around you, but it's not eating at you. It might try to eat at that outer edge of your aura, but it can't get through to eat at you. Those of you who do readings, this is a footnote for you. A lot of readers say, well, I can't shield because I won't be able to sense what the person that I'm reading for. Okay, here's the truth of strengthening your aura and putting a shield up. What you're blocking is the person's want. They are reaching out saying, I want this answer. This is the answer I want. Come on, give me the answer I want. So instead what will happen is that wanting will stop at the edge of your aura, and you can sit there and look, I see what they want. Yeah. Yeah, that's not what that says. Now you can tell them what that says, whether or not they like it. Because this is what they need to hear. That is what they want to hear. And if they don't match, you can choose which one to give them. Okay? So for the readers, that is the footnote. There is nothing that happens in life that is not improved by that shield being in place. Do it twice a day. When you get up in the morning, when you go to bed at night. Do it twice a day. When someone studies with me, I say, okay, get ready because you're going to do it twice a day, every day, for the rest of your life. And I'm not kidding. Twice a day, every day, for the rest of your life. Over time, that shield's going to become automatic. But if you pay attention to it twice a day, every day, for the rest of your life, it will never weaken. I started in 1985 doing the technique that I'm going to give you today, twice a day, every day. And from 1985 until 2010, twice a day, every day. Sometimes when things were really pretty insane and crazy, 2 or 3, I would do it 3 or 4 times a day. Or when I felt threatened. I did it a lot when I had to take the subway at 9 o'clock at night. And I was standing on the platform all by my little lonesome. And there was some really kind of strange person down at the other end of the platform. And I sort of took a step sideways, did my shield. Took a step sideways, did my shield. But in that length of time, I was doing it twice a day, every day, minimum. Then I did some chemo. I did breast cancer. It's all okay now. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that chemo did a number on the front of my brain. It interfered with a chemical that's necessary for the nerves in the brain to talk to each other. So my executive brain sort of went bye-bye, and I was kind of sort of walking through la-la land for a year. What was that you said about shielding? What's that? Huh. Oh, whatever. So I wasn't doing my shielding. About a year and a half later, I had finished the chemicals and I was feeling better. And I was at a workshop about shielding, and somebody was measuring people's shields and how strong they were. My shield was still as far as that wall, without my having paid any attention to it, because I had done it from 1985 to 2010, twice a day, every day, and a whole bunch of other times in between. It was kind of sort of like Swiss cheese, and it was kind of spongy in places, but it was still there. Now, when I first started doing it, I would never have considered depending on some sort of a residual something or another being there. But it was nice to know that the habits of that long of a time paid off during a period when I couldn't do much of anything about it. Yes, I have resumed doing my shielding. Twice a day, every day. There are many kinds of shield. The one I'm going to show you and have you do if you are willing is the one that I'm referring to doing twice a day, every day, because then I don't have to think about it. If something is coming at me, I don't have to think about it. Most people that teach shielding will say, well, now, if someone sends very fiery energy at you, the best thing to do is to create a shield that is all about ice. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, how long does it take you to identify what's coming at you, figure out what to counter it with, and then put it in place? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that fast. But if somebody throws that fiery energy at me, it's going to get stuck in that outer aura. And by the time it gets close, oh, look, somebody thought they could attack me. Isn't that cute? Because I did it every day, twice a day, for decades. Okay, so I have described the shield to you. I've described what the energies are to you so that you can feel comfortable, I hope, in doing this shield with me. So that when you walk out of here, you will be shielded. Okay? This is how you do it. Know that the egg of your aura is around you. Under your feet, above your head, includes your arms, front to back. You are surrounded by the egg. Acknowledge that really big something out there, by whatever name you call it, represented by a brilliant light. Let that light become more brilliant in your mind's eye. As you breathe in, you're going to draw a ray of that light down to your heart. You exhale, push it out to fill your aura. Do that 3 times. You can't put any more energy into that aura if you tried. It is that full. Now reach out to the edge of your aura and command it. Become solid. Become firm. And you're finished. As you turn your mind away from building that image of yourself inside an aura that has a solid shield edge to it, that form will remain in place. It will fade over time, and because you're just starting to do it, it will probably fade more or less completely by tomorrow-ish, morning-ish. So if you do it before you go to bed tonight, you do it again tomorrow morning, you've started the practice. It slows down all negative and harmful energies coming at you. Because you really want anything that's a blessing or a help, all of the blessing and help is going to come to you. But the harm is going to stay at arm's length. What happens if you're confronted by a physical danger? Well, this shield will not prevent. I had a student in a high school art class who wanted to come at me with a knife. It would not have stopped the knife, but it gave me the confidence to face the challenge with a bit more calm than a knife had any business getting me to do. And I was calm enough to be able to extract from the situation and get help. A couple winters ago, I had 2 trees that grew from the same place. One was this big and the other was a bit bigger, and they were both dead. And the bigger one got blown over in the windstorm. It was growing about this far out from the back of my house. When it fell, it did not fall on my house. I regularly shield my house with the same kind of shielding that I just showed you how to do. It hit the top corner of the gutter, on the corner of the house, on the end where the gutter is at its highest edge. Bounced off that onto the house next door, landed without hitting any windows, any wires, or any people. it ended up on the eave where the eave was sticking out from the house. So it didn't really hit the house either. I pretty much lucked out on that one. The shield works to help you with physical things. It does not prevent difficult things in the physical. But it gives you an edge. If something bad happens that cannot be stopped, it helps to give you a buffer to help your emotions to deal with the impact of what's going on better than if you were just psychically butt naked in the face of whatever trauma is happening. It doesn't solve physical problems, but it sure does lessen them, mitigate them, at least a little bit. Which is, I'll take it. Okay, that is what I have to say for you about shielding. I urge you in this time of chaos, with all that is going on, regardless of which side of the politics you are on, we are all bombarded with news that is distressful, with situations that are confrontational, with directions that we may or may not agree with, at a speed that we may or may not be able to keep up with. This is the very definition of what we have been studying for days, weeks, months, years, decades, to be ready to deal with. Because we have learned things that help us to deal with our lives under any circumstance. You are empowered. And because you are empowered, you have extra responsibility to yourself and the values that are important to you, whatever they are, whether I would agree with them or not. You have to know your own beliefs, what you are committed to, and then act on that. And always act in accordance with your values, with your highest values. Whether you stand with me or against me, I don't care which. This is not political. But we do have to recognize that what's going on out there is highly political, and we have no escape from it. So we have to deal with what happens inside of our aura. And that is absolutely your responsibility. Take that same shield, and instead of putting it on the aura, put it on the room that you spend most of your time in at home, or on your whole house, or on your entire property. If you have children, build an aura around them and put that light into their aura. If you have someone in the family that's sick, give them an aura. Give them the light. If you're speaking in Christian terms, this is the grace of God. If you're speaking in Buddhist terms, I'm not sure what the term would be, but certainly it relates to Qi. So whatever name you give these things, you have to take control of your energy, deal with your life, and then in concentric circles, reach out to help those around you. If you have a bad day and you need to take the day off from doing work, do your 2 shields and leave it at that. Take the day off emotionally, mentally, and relax, rejuvenate, recuperate, and then go back to work on whatever it is that you feel you need to do in light of what's going on in our world. Take care of yourself. Very much take care of yourself first. because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't help anybody. Okay? Now, this has not been a talk on divination, for which I'm sorry. I got some tools up here that I brought that if you want to play with them a little bit, take a look at them. They are available, and we can talk about individual kinds of divination. I appreciate that you have all listened so intently to what I've said. I hope that you will take it to heart and that you will implement the habit of shielding every morning and every evening in the same way that you get up in the morning and get dressed, you change your clothes before you climb into bed at night, that you put the barriers, the chemical barriers on your car so that the salt won't eat away at it, in the same sorts of ways that you will take in hand the experiences that you have in life and be responsible for the effect in your life insofar as you are able to do something about it. Does anyone have a question about the shielding? Oh, awesome.
Wow.
Well, you know.
I do something
Nailed it.
similar, but I have an above, but I also draw up energy from Mother Earth. And then I fuse them together, and then I draw my shield.
That's cool.
Cool.
Yep.
That'll work too.
Good vortex.
There's a booklet that I published called Essential Shielding. It describes exactly what we just talked about. And then it gives a few examples. Christian, there are 2 or 3 Christian. There's one spiritist, Native American, Buddhist. I don't have any Muslim, I'm sorry. I don't know the Islamic faith well enough to say a single word about them. I'm sure they have a technique. But there are many, many, many ways of doing what I've described. This is not the only form. Technically, this is called the Tower of Light. It is taught by Melita Denning and Osborne Phillips, who are the founders of the Aurum Solus magical order out of England. She has passed. He has become an Anglican priest.
Oh, wow. Shit.
His life took a turn after she died.
Yeah.